Well, good morning and happy Labor Day to all of you. Hope you're having a great one. Had an incredible weekend weather-wise. A lot of things still to do today before you have to go back to work tomorrow. You'll remember last week we were talking with Jenny Gabriel with JG Optimal Wellness, and we told you that we would have her back, but we're teaming up with another very important thing in our medical and in our health world, Dr. Brooke Kalisiak. She is with Legacy Physical Therapy, and what she specializes in is really why I wanted to bring her on. And you'll see her here over the next several months talking about pelvic health issues. Now, I will say, I want to thank a dear friend of mine that's in personal training. She focused on that with regards to working out. She had a baby and she's like, I've got to work that whole pelvic health area. So that is the thing that a lot of you may have thought, well, I didn't know if there was anything I could do about that. Yes, there is. And we're going to talk about that today, teaming the two ladies up. So let me welcome our guests, Dr. Brooke and Jenny. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And happy Labor Day.
Yes.
Happy Labor Day.
So let me give you a little background. Okay, so Dr. Brooke has two locations. The owner at Legacy Physical Therapy, she opened in 2008 because she saw a need right here in our area for a physical therapy practice that focused on pelvic health. Since its inception, she has grown the practice from a single clinic, single location practice to a team of 5 pelvic physical therapists and 2 locations. And those locations are on the screen for you right now. One of them on Doherty Ferry, the other in the St. Peters area at Triad Center Drive. She graduated from Princeton University back in 2000 with a bachelor's in psychology. And while at Princeton, she was a member of their Division I basketball team, completing her master's and doctorate in physical therapy from WashU right here in St. Louis. And I know she focuses on several things. So first of all, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. So she actually saw a show that we did about a month or so ago, and it was from the Natural Parents Expo,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And started following me on Instagram, and we started talking from there. And I thought, this is definitely, and in fact, I think even in my entire career, I don't know that I've ever focused on this, or for that matter, knew that someone specialized in it. So this is why we wanted to bring her on. And we brought Jenny back on because Jenny's like, I'm going to learn a lot too.
There you go. We can all learn together.
So Dr. Brooke, what made you want to specialize in this aspect of the physical therapy world?
Yeah. So it is just an underserved population. Like you said, your whole career, you haven't known anyone does this kind of work and
Right.
that. And our pelvic floor muscles are part of our bigger musculoskeletal system and can contribute to so many issues that can really affect people's day-to-day life. So bowel function, bladder function, sexual function, pain issues, many of them have a musculoskeletal cause in the pelvic area. And there are things that people can do, sometimes really simple things that people can do to prevent these issues from happening or to get better from them if they are experiencing them. And what I saw is our medical system just kind of writing these people off or being like, oh, as you get older, it's normal. It's normal part of aging to just leak and need diapers and have pain. And it's like what we have it literally on the back of our t-shirts at our clinic is it's common, not normal.
Yes.
A lot of these experiences that people go through. And I was like, I want to create a place where people can come and feel comfortable and safe talking about these issues and getting treatment for them.
And it's so crazy, right, Jenny? Because we literally 1 week ago today, we're talking about all the myths that are out there about menopause and how people have been stifled, how they're not talking, that they're embarrassed, as you just said, and they're being dismissed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here it is again. It's like you just have to deal with it. Okay, so I'm going to start with this, Dr. Brooke, because I'm not going to say who, but there are 2 very close women in my life that I grew up watching when I was a little girl, and I thought, oh no, is that what's coming for me? They would do the dance, right? Their legs crossed, running down the hallway, and they're like, oh, and we would laugh. Oh, you're doing the potty dance, and they're like, oh, you think it's funny? Well, it's coming for you, Monica. So there are a lot of people who think they have to just deal with that. They've got bladder issues. They got a weak bladder.
Yes.
And so you're saying no, that they didn't have to if they would have known?
Correct. There's things we can do. So one in 3 women will deal with bladder leakage at some point in their life, and that's a huge portion of the population. But it doesn't mean that that's a normal thing. We can do things to prevent it and to help if we are experiencing it. And women, unfortunately, are more at risk for it. Jenny and I were talking about that because we have babies, and that so pregnancy and delivery can put a lot of stress and strain through the area. But a lot of women think that they're like, cool, I didn't have kids, I'm not at risk, and like, nope, you can still have problems because of the changes that happen as we age. But one of the simplest ways to think about it is just like muscles anywhere else in our body. If we don't use it, we lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing can happen down there, but it shows up in the form of bladder issues
Right.
as the most common one. And that, so it's like, okay, we can't forget about this area of the body when we're thinking about working out.
And I want you all to understand, we're talking women, but I wanted to tie in women and men here because it's both. Right. You just said something in the very beginning, which I think is so key, and that is people being embarrassed. I've also heard, yes, there's tons of women that I have personal trained over the years, and they're all like, you don't understand, Monica, because you didn't have kids. But as soon as you have kids, because as soon as I'll start their 5-minute warm up, as soon as we get to jumping jacks, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. And they all think that is normal, and that is what they have to deal with. Then you've got guys that are like, what, I don't have to wear, do I have to wear diapers? I'm not telling anybody about this. I'm scared. You know, we talked last week, Jenny, about being embarrassed to even communicate. So this is such a blend. I mean, again, I was happy to connect these two women because there's so many that you would be able to refer to each other.
Yeah.
You hear these same things, right? It's all about
time.
embarrassment.
Yeah, it's embarrassment for sure. And it's that urgency to go to the bathroom or the happy dance. I call it the happy dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or that just urgency. Like, all of a sudden they got to go.
Yeah.
Got to go,
And so
got to
for the
go.
women that you work with, have they always been told, like Dr. Brooke said, that this
100%,
is just
same
what
thing.
you're going to deal with?
Yeah. It's just like, this is just part of it. And like, no, this isn't part of it.
Yeah.
Did you know that there were people that specialize in the
I
pelvic
did
health?
know
You
that.
did.
Yes.
Well, now we're going to send them all to Dr. Brooke. Again, so Valley Park and the St. Peter's location. So there's 2 locations for you. But what I don't want you to do one more day is to think that there's nothing you can do about it. I was watching some of your videos, and thank you, by the way, for everything you provided, because it's always a dream for me when I was like, oh, yes, we've got all of this to go. So when people come into you, I'm going to guess that from day one to working with you for several weeks or months, that there's a massive change in the way they come in, body language alone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, like you can kind of tell, like those first days, like everyone's kind of sitting sort of really crossed up and like, and then, by the end of it, they're feeling so much better and have so much more confidence with stuff. They almost feel like friends and family now, like they're coming in and saying hi to everyone.
Good.
And like, so they've felt safe, they've felt heard, and they're seeing a change
He
with
gave
it.
me a chill. And he literally said last week, all of these people feel like they are not seen and they're not heard.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so let's break that down because you are in the medical field.
Yeah.
Why, Dr. Brooke? For decades, have people dismissed us?
I think, unfortunately, the U.S. medical system has kind of perpetuated this sort of situation where doctors are, their salary and what they need to do is based on productivity, and they need to keep seeing more and more people to keep making the dollar from the insurance company.
Yep.
And these wonderful providers who really do care about their patients are seeing so many people a day that they're lucky if they get 5 to 10 minutes with a patient. And at our practice we see a patient for an entire hour at a time, so we are spending so much more time with someone, so we actually get to sit and hear their story and talk with them and learn more about it. And so I think even the most well-meaning doctor really is kind of just constrained by time at
Agreed.
this point in time.
I have a brilliant physician that used to be on with us a couple years ago. I was so happy for him to say it because as soon as he did, I looked at the camera and said, there you go, straight out of his mouth. He said, I'm just going to say it. It is that revolving door. We've got to get the next patient in. It's this whole aspect with the insurance company. I'm like, okay, so it's real. And he goes, oh, it absolutely is real. It's also why a lot of physicians have gone to concierge medicine.
I was going to say, do you see a lot of that now?
We
on
have
senior medicine?
definitely seen more people go into that model, and and I understand it. It lets them practice medicine the way they
They're
want to
supposed to,
practice
right?
medicine and spend time with their patient and really dig in and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have seen that change.
And she just stressed they do genuinely care about you. But if they're seeing you for 5-10 minutes, if you're lucky, it's very easy to miss things.
Yeah. Definitely. Mm-hmm.
So that's what we want to stress. Again, if you are just tuning in, we're talking about pelvic health physical therapy with Legacy Physical Therapy. That is Dr. Brooke's practice. JG Optimal Wellness is Jenny Gabriel's practice. These women see a lot of the same things, hear a lot of the same things. How emotional have patients gotten? I will say this to both of you because we didn't ask you about that, Jenny. How emotional do they get not only from feeling not heard, not seen, and feeling like they have lost all hope, to the realization and the aha moment of, oh my gosh, I got my life back?
Very, very emotional at our practice, and that it is not uncommon that we get tears from people, both tears of joy, tears of frustration, and just like, okay, I'm finally getting to an answer, but why did it take me 5 years and 7 different providers before I got here? And it's like, I'm happy I got the answer, but I'm also kind of frustrated and pissed that it took this long. So sometimes there's just like that kind of anger, like, well, yeah, I'm glad, but I'm mad that it took this long to get to this answer too.
Right. Dr. Brooke, because you think about it, and if let's say that they don't get that aha moment or even get introduced to you ladies until 3, 4, 5, or even longer years down the road, they look at it all that time wasted.
Yeah.
All that time of having to go through mental anguish, physical issues, etc. Yeah. So for you, the same question.
Yeah.
Emotional, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's emotional. It's just like they feel like they're finally being heard. Like they had no idea that there was things that could be done, And I feel like when we're able to meet the patient or the patient for her, client for me, where they're at and show them the things that can be done, it's almost like this.
You can breathe again.
You can almost see their shoulders drop. Like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. But then also the pissed off. I'm pissed off because I spent how many years doing this and had no idea. Now I see you guys and wish I had known you. Like Rose says,
I know.
I wish I had known you 20 years ago or whatever, But
all
we're
that
here now.
matters though is that you finally get the education.
Yeah.
You finally know. But again, I think this is the biggest thing we can stress. Don't go at it alone, thinking that no one else is going through this. Because as Dr. Brooke just mentioned, there were people that will come in, again, all curled up, hiding the area that they're upset about, and then all of a sudden feeling free that there is something that they can do about it. But I'm sure until they see shows like this or until they start talking, they think they're the only person going through it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. That's so common. And like just that reassurance when they're like, yeah, I actually had 4 other patients today with similar complaints. And they're like, really?
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one who, had pain with intercourse or the only one who felt like my uterus was falling out. It's like, nope, you're not alone. Like we work with this all the time and, you can get better.
So we talked about this last week. Actually, we've talked about it a couple times with Jenny about getting to a point that they're in menopause and they're dealing with painful sex. So we've addressed it on her side. I want to address it on yours. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, so she's talked about supplementation and the way we eat and processed foods and sugars and alcohol and all those things bringing on vaginal dryness, right? And painful sex. And when we say that, if you haven't experienced, I don't know how many times we can say it's real, but what can be done about it? We'll go into that again, more with Dr. Brooke and Jenny when we return.
Discover your full potential with a personalized styling experience. Designing, customizing, and transforming the looks of men and women. Revamp your individual style and embrace what makes you, you. That's real confidence.
And welcome back again. You're tuned into the Real Monica Adams Show. We are getting real with Dr. Brooke Kalisiak. Am I saying it right? Okay, I don't want to butcher names. Dr. Brooke Kalisiak with Legacy Physical Therapy and Jenny Gabriel with JG Optimal Wellness. On this Medical Monday, we are breaking down the stigma. Again, I can't stress enough, you are not alone in this, and you will be surprised percentage-wise of how many people deal with this, men and women alike. So I don't want to just be addressing women. We're talking, yes, as we went to the break, about painful sex and how people think that they have to deal with that. Jenny and I have talked about in the past. From what you do at Legacy Physical Therapy, how do you help so that it's not?
Yeah, so as it relates to women who are coming into that menopausal period, so menopause, estrogen's going to tank and go down the drain, and that really affects the pelvic tissue, and so we can get a lot of dryness down there. So like one of the most common pain descriptors that we get is like, I feel like it's sandpaper.
Yes.
Like we're just, and I was like, yeah, that would not be comfortable at all. So from our point of view as well, even if it starts out as a dryness issue, our muscles, especially down there, are designed to protect the area. And so think about it, when you've injured another area of your body, you kind of like tense up around it and you pull up around it. So the pelvic floor muscles do that too. So if say you things have started to get drier and you try it, sex with your partner and it hurts, then the next time your muscles are like, whoa, wait a minute. This hurt last time.
Right.
We're not sure we like this idea. And they can start to tense up in response to it. And so these muscles need to be able to relax and stretch to allow for penetration. And so we can get into this cycle of pain causing muscle spasm or muscle tension, causing more pain. And then we get into this, like almost this circle that can't be broken.
Right.
Where it's just lots of pain and lots of tension in the area. And until we deal with the dryness in the area, until we get those muscles to relax and stretch and give more, it's always going to be a painful situation. And then we've got that stimulus of, well, now sex, I think about pain. So now I don't really even want to do it because it's going to hurt. And now the libido's aspect of it is affected as well. So we just get this kind of like perfect storm of issues. And so from our end of it, we affect the physical aspect of it, of like, okay, making sure that tissue can move and stretch and that we've got good mobility to it. We don't have any like previous scar tissue from like episiotomies or C-section scars or even natural tearing leaves scars in the area. So sometimes if women have had children, there's scar tissue that over the years kind of is not that mobile, but our body does fine with it because we've got estrogen in place, which keeps everything kind of fluffy and supple down there. And then we hit menopause and we're not so fluffy and supple down there as much anymore. And so issues start to show up and that. And so a lot of times people are like, oh, well, I was fine until I got to menopause. It's like, yeah, but some of these issues started way back in your 20s or 30s. But your body was really good at covering for it until we got rid of the hormone aspect of it. And then your body's like, yeah, I can't do this anymore.
And then
like,
it reared its ugly
head. Then it showed up. And
the
then
white flag comes out.
Yeah, like, oh, wait, now it's too much, too much.
I'm done.
So,
again, and if you have any comments, questions, I'll make sure that both Dr. Brooke and Jenny see these. But we mentioned this last week about the importance of having an entire team that's working for you, that they have your best interest at heart, that you're not dealing with this alone. It really does start to deal not just from the physical side, but what it does mentally. And that just shuts down if people are not communicating to their partner, their husband, their wife, whoever, because they, as we've mentioned before, they're going to think it's them. What did I do wrong? Why are you not wanting to be with me anymore? And they don't want to talk about it because they're embarrassed. I don't know how many times women have said, I don't want to say what's going on because he won't understand. But they will. You just have to communicate, right?
Yeah. And oftentimes it's super common in our practice that we are kind of guiding people to put their team together.
Yes.
And that, so, whether we bring someone on from the nutritional side of things to help manage any, digestive health issues that's contributing to it, making sure, their doctor's on board or they get a doctor who's on board to talk about hormone stuff with them. And then also like bringing in we partner with a sexual therapist
Yeah.
often
Yeah.
for that mental component. Because if it's been going on for months, years, where you've been having pain with sex, guess what? It's going to be really hard to switch that brain around to be like, oh yeah, now I want it because it doesn't hurt anymore. But for a while, like you didn't. So we've got to bring in all aspects of that to kind of get people better with it. Because we've had that happen before where people are like, well, it doesn't hurt anymore down there. What we did here in pelvic physical therapy was great, but I also still have no desire because for so long it was problematic. It's like, let's introduce someone else to your team as well, too.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah.
big part, and I did
It
not
is.
get a chance to touch on that last week.
Yeah.
So we can work on the muscles, but if you're not addressing all the menopause symptoms, because one of the biggest, and my husband, and I'm just going to be real here, he was like, do you not want to have sex with me anymore? And I go, I'm just so busy, right? I'm just in my life, go, go, go. And it's not a good thing for your relationships. But it was, my estrogen and my progesterone were tanked.
Yep.
His testosterone was low as well. So we got both of those up, and suddenly you feel like two young kids again.
Yeah. There
Right?
we go.
So if you don't, there she goes again. If you don't address your hormones, you will not even be thinking about it. You'll be going along and being like, it's not that I don't love you. I'm just not even thinking about it because you don't, your hormones are tanked,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, that's the biggest thing. So this is where this team works hand in hand. You're working on the muscles when you are actually saying, oh yeah, I do want to get back into this. But if the hormone, whether it's hormone replacement therapy or bioidentical, when you get those in place, suddenly your body is working the way it's supposed to work, right?
Right. Yeah. And as long as you're, doing the lifestyle things, I always have to add those in because those are part of that, process too. And the nutritional part of it too. Hydration. We were talking about that, like hydration's a big deal. I don't think people realize how big of a deal hydration is. If you're not drinking enough water, and we've talked about that before too, but definitely.
The libido aspect, though, I don't think we've touched on with you and I yet. And it is, yes, we've talked about different aspects, but that is a big component. That's why I'm such a big advocate of getting your labs done, because then it's the aha moment of, oh, well, this is what's wrong.
Right.
Or also, as we've said in the past, if your doctor is saying, as my doctor did, you're not in menopause. There's no way. You're not in menopause. Trust me, you're not. And then suddenly you are. It's all this of, dang it. I was going through all of this until finally someone gave me the answers I was looking for.
Yeah.
So from working this area, what do you do? What are the exercises? And does it is
$1 million
it very what $1
million
million
question.
I was just going to say, is it dependent upon each person?
It is. So the short answer is it depends. But what I will say is a lot of times, at least women have heard of the pelvic floor muscles and have heard the term a Kegel exercise. And a Kegel exercise is simply a contraction of the pelvic floor muscles. So if you're thinking about it like trying to stop the flow of urine or hold back gas, you are contracting your pelvic floor. That is not the end all be all of what needs to be done for this area. That's like saying, like, if I had a shoulder problem, I just went to you, I'm like, my shoulders are killing me. And you say, Brooke, you should do some bicep curls. That'll fix your shoulder. Yeah, you're laughing at it because it's like, that makes no sense.
Correct.
So like for someone to, if you walked up to someone and say, I'm having some bladder leakage, they say, oh, do some Kegel exercises. Well, we don't know what's causing the bladder leakage in that.
Yes.
And so for many women, because we without knowing it, tend to hold tension and stress in our pelvis, hold everything, just like we can kind of tense up our shoulders. We can tense up down there, but we tend not to be as aware of the fact that we're tensing up down here. And
That's
so
good stuff.
they've been probably, some of them, years of holding those pelvic floor muscles tense like this. So if we say they're having bladder leakage and we say, go ahead and do some more Kegel exercises, well, I just already got a tense muscle and I'm just trying to tense it up more. These people actually need to learn how to relax and let that muscle go first and get it moving well so it can do its job. So they need to be evaluated versus just told, do these exercises.
So we're looking at some of the exercises and some of the videos that Dr. Brooke had provided for us. I saw you working on squats, doing some deadlifts with men and women again alike. And I'm stressing this. Yes, you might be like, oh, they're addressing women's health. No, we're doing both sexes because this is something that affects both of us. So what does the squat? What does the deadlift? What do those do for us?
So there are over 35 different muscles that attach to the pelvis. And so if we just pay attention to just just that one muscle group, the pelvic floor, we're missing out on everything. So our gluteal muscles, our hamstring muscles, all of those are important for providing good movement through the bony pelvis and supporting the tissues around there. So a thorough evaluation is going to look at all of the muscles around the area. And we describe it a lot of times to our patients that we want to look and see how your core canister is functioning. And so you think of your trunk like a soda can with the diaphragm at the top, the abdominal and the back muscles are the side, and the pelvic floor is the bottom. Like, you want all parts of that can working well together. And if one part's busted or not working well, it can show up somewhere else. So we're looking at breathing, we're looking at abs, we're looking at flexibility to see how all of that relates together.
I love it. One of your practitioners that you have, again, Dr. Brooke has 2 practices in Valley Park and in St. Peter's. And then you have 5 pelvic physical therapists and 2 locations. So there's the team, by the way, and they all can work together to help you. I saw in one of the videos where they were talking about breathing. And for all of us that work with patients, clients, from a breathing standpoint, you know right away if they are in fight or flight mode, if they are in tensed mode, freaking out, because it's right. It's real fast breathing and it's all coming from the chest. I know women in particular, and probably men as well, are like, I don't want to pooch my belly out. I'm trying to get that smaller, right? The menopause belly. But we really should be look at a baby, by the way, right? Look at a baby of how they breathe. So our inhalation should all be coming outward.
We should expand outward. It shouldn't necessarily be that we're pushing our belly forward, but that if we're taking a nice, slow, relaxed, deep breath in, I tell people to think like they're opening up like an umbrella, because that's kind of all around the trunk, not just push your belly out, because people are like, oh, you can push my belly out. Like, no, we're not pushing. We're letting the air come in and expand, and everything gets bigger. And then as we exhale, everything deflates. And you're right. I tell people all the time, go home and watch your little kids, your baby breathe. If you have pets, watch your dog while your dog's sleeping, because they do it right. And we women, especially over the years, get trained to suck it in all the time and just hold it tight. And it's like, and then we can only breathe up here if we don't let this go. And it's like, no, everything's meant to kind of relax and move together.
Yep. Again, breathing is so key. It's a very big component of breaking the stress down, which Jenny and I have talked about in the past, the amount of stress that you have, how you're throwing your adrenals off, how you have cortisol levels that are causing all the belly, and you're looking at like, why is all this weight gaining around here? You talked about core muscles. I am a big proponent in core. It's funny though, can we work core today, Monica? I'm like, well, if you pay attention to me, you're doing core constantly.
Yes.
We should always be engaging the core with everything that we do. But how many people come to both of you and think the core is the belly alone?
Oh, yeah, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, right here.
Right? We're like, where's the core? My belly? Yes, keep going. What else?
They're like, what?
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, literally, I used to say if I take you and I split you into 3s and I take off about mid-thigh and then I take off this half, the rest that I leave is all your core, all in the back, into your glutes, into the high part of your hamstring, into the top part of your hip flexor area, and then that whole area of the trunk. Yeah. Those are all the muscles working for the core. And if you work more and more of those on a regular basis outside of the physical therapy, but you have to do the work that she has you doing. How many people, that's where we go wrong, right? I've been to physical therapy for shoulder, from being in car accidents, and then they'll be like, did you do your thing? Yeah. Monica, come on, you're a trainer. You tell your people to do the homework. I know. We all have to do our own homework, don't we?
Yeah, there's definitely homework involved, but pelvic physical therapy tends to be a little bit different than like if you've injured your shoulder or you've had knee surgery, that where you're maybe going to therapy like 3 times a week, and that we typically see people once a week for an hour session. And yes, they do go home with homework, but we also are getting a sense of where's that person at? Like, they are a busy mom with 4 kids who all have 4 sporting events or whatever that they do. Right? It's like, okay, I'm going to teach you some car exercises, because you're probably in your car all the time. This is what you can do while you're in carpool lane. Or tell me, what do you think you can give me? Like, Brooke, I can give you 10 minutes a day. Okay, here's what I need. Here are the top 2 things I need you to focus on in 10 minutes a day. And so really taking the time to ask the person where they're at, like, yeah, I can give them a sheet that's going to be 30 or 45 minutes of exercises, and they might come back the next week and be like, that was great, but I didn't do that. And I'm like, no, that didn't happen.
So look, you know what? Here's the deal. And you do have to find
Yep.
more time for yourself because you are the most important person in the equation of your life, sanity-wise, physical health, stress, removing that. So if you have 10 minutes, she'll give you and fill that 10 minutes. Let's say, Jenny, that people tell you, I only have 10 minutes to focus on these things that you're asking me to do. What would you fill their 10 minutes with?
Right off the bat would be something with lifestyle that would be easy to tweak for them. Hydration would be one thing because that's something you can implement pretty quickly. With the issue with estrogen dropping, we need more collagen, so making sure we're getting those proteins in. So that's something they can do pretty quickly off the top of their head.
It's just being focused more,
Yeah.
right? Ladies, gentlemen, it is slowing down.
Oh, yeah.
And we keep talking about being your own advocate and then
Yeah.
seeing more clearly when you do slow down and have that aha moment right in front of you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take another break. Again, Dr. Brooke Kalisiak, Legacy Physical Therapy in Valley Park and in St. Peters, Jenny Gabriel, JG Optimal Wellness. Do not spend one more day believing that your life is over because there's so much more that you can do to live the way you're really supposed to live. All right, don't go anywhere. Welcome to the mobile Monica version of the Real Monica Adams Show at my favorite restaurant. There's something about a coffee house that's just very warm and welcoming.
Gives you that sense of community.
What are you most proud of since you've opened it?
I cry easily. I'm thankful for everybody here.
You opened the door during the middle of the pandemic. You got the best Italian restaurant in the United States. Here in St. Louis, you put us on the map. Does it scare you? You go through fear?
Terrifying.
So how do you get past the fear?
We find something to laugh about.
And welcome back again. Thank you for tuning in on this Labor Day to the Real Monica Adams Show. Starting your day off with some education, some laughter, some aha moments. And that's what it's about. And I want you, if you gather with people today, talk. All right, get into it. I mean, we talk about water cooler talk, and sometimes it's just having these small groups where you start to say, you know what I heard today? Suddenly you might laugh together and then you might go, well, let's talk about that a little bit deeper when we're not around this big party or whatever. But yeah, it's no longer feeling like you have to deal with the things that someone said you had to. You have seen my guest, Jenny Gabriel, on for the last month with JG Optimal Wellness, introducing you for the first time to Dr. Brooke Kalisiak with Legacy Physical Therapy. Again, her locations in Valley Park and St. Peters. This might be an aha moment for a lot of you of I had no idea that we could do some work down there to help us not have to deal with these bladder issues. So I saw in some of the pictures and videos, dry needling, cupping.
Yeah.
Right? You do all of those things?
Yes. Yes. So people, if they have heard of pelvic physical therapy, think like, oh, this is like completely different than other therapy. It's like, no, these are muscles like anywhere else in our body. They can be too tight and spasmed, or there can be connective tissue that's not moving well. So a lot of the techniques that we might be doing are things like dry needling, soft tissue massage, cupping, all that to try and get things moving better for people. And that's so we even this past year, we've started using shockwave therapy, which is a regenerative therapy to help with works great for scar tissue, for muscle tension, all that kind of stuff. So we've been using that in our office with great success to help with aches and pains everywhere, but we're really loving how we're seeing it affect like pelvic pain, pain with sex, and scar tissue issues in the pelvic area. So that's been a great addition to our facility as well.
Interesting. I was introduced to that when I was in radio, not for the pelvic floor muscles, but for scar tissue coming back from different surgeries, and it was shockwave therapy for that and for some foot issues that people were having, right? Plantar fasciitis. They were using shockwave therapy for that.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Again, that's why I love doing these Medical Mondays of what exists in our medical field. But a lot of it is Eastern and Western culture medicine working hand in hand, needing that, not one versus the other, but literally blending them together and making you realize Wow. So if someone's coming and doing the combination of what Jenny's asking them to do, and then working on, you said once a week for an hour, maybe that's what you're incorporating in that 1 hour per week. How many times? Again, it's all dependent, I'm sure, on what someone's dealing with. But I think they're probably all wondering, if I start to incorporate these things, when will I start to see changes that will make me feel like my life's back?
Yeah, honestly, like especially for like let's take a typical kind of bladder leakage type patient. We're typically working with them for maybe about 6 to 8 sessions over a 2-month period.
Okay.
But I always tell patients you should start to see changes for the better in the first 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
This isn't like,
Awesome.
let me do this for 2 months and maybe I'll see some changes. No, like if we're on the right track, like your body should start to recognize that things are improving and we're moving in the right direction. Now, are there patients that we work with much longer? Yes, we have patients who have chronic pelvic pain issues, stuff like that, that we are working with for months, sometimes even years, because their issues are really severe, and we're helping them manage and get better that way. But the vast majority of our patients are typically coming to us for maybe about 8 sessions over that like 2-month period. And then we call them tune-up appointments. A lot of them are like, I'm not done yet. Like, I don't want to stop seeing it. Like, no, like come in and see us monthly or every couple of months just to check in and make sure things are going well. And honestly, we recommend all women, when you know you're going into that menopause transitional time, that is a great time to just call up a pelvic physical therapist and make an appointment to get a baseline of where you're at. You might not be having any issues yet, but let's keep you from having issues.
love that.
And
That's
so
awesome.
it's like start that then, and making sure that you kind of know what you need to be doing.
Well, and then this next question is applying to both of you. So Jenny, I'll bounce over to you here for just a second, but Dr. Brooke is coming back to you. So this
All right.
this is pickleball. So if you start to tell people, okay, great, we started to clean up your eating. Great. And I don't say diet. You all know I hate that word. Cleaning up your eating, right? You're getting rid of the processed food. You're getting rid of the sugars. You're starting to sleep better. You don't have that mental fog. You're seeing all these changes. If they don't continue it and they go backwards, they're going to see all those symptoms come right back, right?
Well, I mean, you're teaching them, or I'm teaching them lifestyle. Okay. So those are things that I would expect that you carry on. It's kind of like brushing your teeth. You learn how that's just part of what you'll continue to do once they leave, working with me.
And ideally, even if they get to the point of, okay, now I'm beyond the years, and we mentioned last week that depending on the person, it could last 4, 5, 7, 10 years, or 14.
14, yeah.
Right? So do the work, put the work in, because again, you're taking control of your life. Ideally, you are teaching them lifestyle changes that will carry through life.
Right.
Not for an occasion, not for, I got to go to the beach and I'm going to start doing this. Nope, then I'm switching. All the symptoms have come back.
Right.
You're working with them hand in hand to say, this is your new life pattern.
Right. And we talked about that last week too, where, it can go back and forth. They can get a little bit better, not have the symptoms, and that's really easy. I see clients start to pull back and go, "Okay, I'm free. I don't have to worry about this anymore," and then slam. They come back all of a sudden. So that's why it's important to keep those lifestyle skills. It's kind of like what Dr. Brooke said. Coming in, getting that tune-up. It's the same thing, except here's the skills. Make sure you're still, implementing them so that you don't have that slam feeling.
So again,
the brakes put on you.
I mentioned the same thing. I want to take it back to you, Dr. Brooke. If you have people that you're seeing 8 sessions or however long, they're doing these, but as you see with a lot of people, whether it's me training a client and they stop doing what you ask them to do, you with physical therapy, you in the nutritional and eating aspect of life. If with you, they're doing all of this and then they stop, is it all coming back?
Kind of like we talked about earlier. Yeah, if we don't use it, we lose it. In our specialty, a lot of times we'll break it down into when they're coming in for a problem, they are in the active phase of rehab, and we're pretty diligently working on stuff to make sure that they reach their goals of, no more pelvic pain or no more pelvic pressure, and they can play with their grandkids and not be leaking or anything like that. But once we meet their goal, or as we're getting close to it, we start talking to them about what maintenance looks like. And ideally, I want to incorporate just the knowledge of what we've taught them into their day-to-day life. So if they are working out with a trainer or going to fitness classes and stuff, that's an ideal situation to keep thinking about their pelvic health, and that becomes their maintenance. But I do work with some couch potatoes and who aren't super active, and it's like, okay, like for you then 5 minutes a day, like here's what I need you to keep up with to kind of keep this at bay. So it kind of depends on the person, but ideally I love to just wrap it in, once we reach their goals, wrap it into their already in place fitness routine or daily activities, because that's going to be that sign that they can kind of keep going with it, you know.
We have talked in the past about the youngest person that's gone into menopause, and if they didn't hear that show, it's how young?
Yeah, we're seeing it at 35, and a lot of that has to do with the toxicity that we're either consuming, putting on us, breathing. You know, we can't live in a bubble, but that's what's pushing that number down further.
And Dr. Brooke, what's the youngest patient that you've worked with?
I have a breastfeeding mom who's also perimenopausal right now. So you can, women having children later, and that they're like, I was like, yeah, you can be perimenopausal and have just had a kid. Like they think those two aren't related at all, but it's like, no, that can happen. So.
I'm talking to more and more of my younger friends that are in their mid 30s, and they've been watching these shows, and they're like, Monica, is it possible? And I said, it is. But again, this is why don't sit there. I think that's the biggest problem for men and women, is that they don't want to go to the doctor. They don't want to hear the bad news. So they don't go. And then they just deal with the symptoms. And that's with everything in life. Again, the earlier you can get to something, the better. Prevention, doing the work that you need to put in. That's the key. One last thing before we wrap up, because you're probably all listening to this. When it comes to someone's mindset of physical therapy, they usually have to be referred by a doctor. Does someone have to be referred to you, or could they just say, oh, I got 2 locations, I can pick up the phone and call?
So that law in Missouri recently changed about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. So
good.
It is still common that a doctor will refer you to physical therapy. And if you have Medicare insurance, it does still require a doctor's referral. But you can also just call up our office and be like, hey, I saw you on Monica's show and I'm dealing with bladder issues and I'd love to come see you. And we can get you scheduled for an evaluation and that. So that law has changed and now people can directly access physical therapy. Yes.
Is it covered by insurance?
So pelvic physical therapy is not its own separate entity. It falls under your general physical therapy benefits. So whatever your insurance's physical therapy benefits are, is what pelvic physical therapy benefits would be. So you don't have to ask for a specific that way.
Good. What, again, I want to kind of end here with men. What are some of the biggest things that men are coming to you for?
Men are typically coming to us for one of 2 issues. Typically, it's for bladder leakage or erectile dysfunction issues after having prostate surgery for either prostate cancer treatments if they don't have surgery, like radiation type treatments, and they're having issues. Or they're coming for a pelvic pain issue, whether it's pain with sitting or just overall like a chronic pelvic pain situation. Those are the most common issues that we're seeing men at our office for.
Let me ask this. So you mentioned coming back from some type of prostate surgery, but what if someone has an enlarged prostate or they're herniated?
And there are things that we can do. Men tend to have a little bit less awareness of this area of the body compared to females. And so there's a lot of education that can happen to help them make sure that they're using their muscles correctly, that they are doing things to void correctly, and that to help minimize symptoms and help that way. So yes, we do work with people who are dealing with like an enlarged prostate, and there's some promising research that the shockwave therapy is actually can be more and more helpful with that and help reduce it. So
I know, that's awesome.
I love that this happened. All right, you're going to see these ladies on much more. Dr. Brooke Kalisiak. It is Legacy Physical Therapy. Again, 2 locations. So if you want to go to Valley Park or you want to go to St. Peter's, I want you to go to legacytherapystl.com. Also follow them on social media at Legacy Physical Therapy STL. Are you most active on Facebook, Instagram?
A combination, honestly. Yeah, I check it all. So
and then there's a phone number again on the screen. They help you find lasting relief from pelvic health issues. Again, pelvic pain, pregnancy, postpartum issues, bladder issues without relying on medications or surgery. Again, we're not saying maybe you don't have to go that route. out, but maybe they can stop that from happening. Or if you do have the surgery, it's finding the strength back again. And then again, for Jenny, you can find Jenny Gabriel with JG Optimal Wellness, and you can shoot her an email, Jenny at jgoptimalwellness.com. jgoptimalwellness.com is her website, and then also online on social media at JG Optimal Wellness. And don't forget to get into her Facebook page where the community is all there talking together, Menopause Belly Secrets. And there is the QR code that you can scan to join that Facebook group. Ladies, you're a wealth of knowledge and so much information that, again, I love learning every time we do these shows. Looking forward, we'll see you again a little bit later this month. We'll see you coming up in about a week or so as well. If you have questions, by the way, that you want us to address, you can always drop in during, but I know a lot of you are rushing around in the morning, or you catch this later and you wonder, are they going to see it if I drop it in? Of course, I go back and always am interactive with you. I'll make sure that Dr. Brooke and Jenny see those. But you also can shoot me an email, info@therealmonicaadams.com, and say, hey, can you all address this? Because sometimes people feel embarrassed to put the comment in.
sure.
Let me be your voice. Okay. Have an incredible Labor Day. We're excited for maybe the final day you're in the pool today. You're enjoying some time with your family and friends, whatever you do. Again, show kindness to each other. That's the greatest thing you can be in life. God bless you all. Have a happy Labor Day.